Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're going to be doing some bandsaw blade organization. Well, I don't know about you guys, but every time I go to use the bandsaw, I never know what blade is in there. Now, if it's a 1/4 inch blade, you can see it's a 1/4 inch, or if it's a resaw, you know it's a resaw, like that difference. But what when you get to the smaller blades where they're close? What do you do other than measure? And that is always the go-to way for me, is that I get out the measuring tape, see how many teeth per inch in the width of the blade, and I know it's good. I'd rather a quick reference way to look at that blade, both when it's coiled in the cabinet or when it's on the saw, so that I know which blade it is. And that's what we're going to deal with today. And it all starts off with some 1/2 inch scrap stock. Well, my shop is no different than anybody else's, and eventually I gather up all of these little scraps of ply. And, you know, I just hate throwing it out. I really do. The stuff isn't cheap anymore. So I'm going to use some of these scraps to help organize my bandsaw blades. And this is just a simple idea that you can do in your shop as well. But it all starts off with cutting these to size. And the size that I want is I want them to be 2 inches wide and 3 inches long. Well, now we have a little bit of layout to do. So at one end of our piece, at 1/4 inch down, we're going to place a line. And then at 3/16 down from that, we will place another line, just like that. We have 2 more quick layout lines to add here, and they will be 5/8 of an inch in from either edge, and they'll just intersect the 2 lines that we just drew. Well, once you get all your tags laid out, and it doesn't take long, we're going to take this over to the drill press. We're going to drill a blade entry hole in this waist area right here, and then we're going to cut it out at the scroll saw. And at this point, you should have a bunch of pieces that look just like this. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove all of my pencil lines here, and then we can move on to the next step. And for that, I'll see you over at the drill press. Well, what I've done is I've installed a 9/16 diameter Forstner bit, and I have the fence and a stop set up so that I can drill a hole in the back of each one of these pieces. And I want that hole to be 1/32 of an inch deep. So for that, I've set the depth stop as well. Well, in each one of our recesses, we're going to place a little CA glue. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue in a number 10 flat washer. So glue a washer into each one of those recesses. Well, this is where we get to have a little bit of fun with the project. And now that those washers are dried up, what I've done is I have drawn out some lines. Look, it's just like being back in public school learning how to print. And I've drawn out the size of the blade. And in this case, I'm making a 3/16 of an inch blade at 10 teeth per inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little bit of fun with my wood burner, and I'm going to burn these numbers into this label. And now that the burning is done, we're going to just erase our pencil lines on here. And then we're going to give it just a light sanding. Well, now that you've got your tag done, now what? Well, I've got these Velcro cable ties that I picked up. And this is a pack of 25 of them. You get them fairly inexpensively. So I'm just going to open this up here. And what we're going to do, once I destroy this incredibly strong packaging, is we're going to take off one of these tags, or these cable ties, and that slot that we cut, this cable tie is going to go right through it and then lock into place by going through this little hole that they have created for you. Just like this. And there essentially you have a tag for your blade. So you just want to take your Velcro strip. You don't need to go tightly around the blade, but just put it through, feed it through the hole that you scrolled out earlier. And once you get that through there, you can just Velcro the whole thing to your blade. So now there's no more guesswork when you look into the cabinet as to what blade it has, or what blade you have sitting there. This Velcro tie is not damaging your blade, and the wood sure as heck isn't going to damage your blade, because if wood damages your blade, man, what kind of hardwood are you using? So now you've got all these awesome little tags, these little labels for your blades, so that when you pull out your blades out of the cabinet or on the wall where you have them hung, or however you store your blades, you can look and see at a glance exactly what blade you've got. But what about that number 10 washer that we use the CA glue to glue in place? Where does that come into play? And I'm going to tell you, this might be my favorite part of the project. As when you install the blade and you take this off, don't throw this in your cupboard. Instead, I've taken a 1/2-inch rare earth magnet and I put it right back here on the column of my bandsaw. And I'm just going to take that tag and stick it right there. And at a glance now, even if I come back to this saw a month down the road and I'm not 100% sure, no more need to get out that tape measure and check it, or none of that kind of stuff. I just look at that column and I know exactly what blade I've got in there at a glance. You have no idea the simple things in life, eh? Now you can put this on the front, you can put it on the back, you can put it on the side, you can stick this label wherever you want to stick it, but you will know at a glance what blade you've got. And there you have it. Some bandsaw blade organizing labels. Guys, do you think this is a lame project? Because if you do, maybe you're not getting the point of my show. And the point of my show is, just because you're out in the shop, it doesn't mean that everything has to be difficult. You don't have to do these fancy dovetail joints and these intricate scroll saw things and mortise and tenon joinery and half laps and lap laps and rabbit laps or whatever. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do all that stuff to have a great time in the shop and to make your time useful. And this project is a prime example. Prior to today, all I did to label my bandsaw blades was this, and it was absolutely horrible. Now, the papers would fall off, they would get torn, etc., etc., and then I'd jab a new one on the piece of wire. The wire got tangled up in the blade. Primitive? Heck yeah. So this new system, it was just a great way to spend a couple hours. Heck, it probably took me longer to do the filming and move the camera around than what it did to actually make the tags for my blades. Guys, stop messing around in the shop and losing time on projects that you could be working on. messing around checking out your blade size and stuff like that, rifling through a cupboard to try to find, the right blade because you don't know which one is which. Perfect labels, instant access, instant knowledge as to what you're dealing with. Think of taking all of your drill bits and throwing them into a big box. How long does it take you to find the drill bit that you want when you could have organized them by size and just pulled it out and carried on with your work? Bandsaw blades is absolutely no difference. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this week's show, and I hope you're going to try it for yourself. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell for the notifications on future episodes of the show. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.